You need to care.
I need to care about the person in 8E.
Because if we can give that to someone else, givers gain.
Yeah, somebody's going to care about me. Yeah, for me, if I want everybody to care about me, well, I have to give back. I have to pay that caring forward.
So you have to open that door. Yeah.
You do, and you got to be open to. So before I get into the Uber, when I made the joke. I was in a Lyft accident that I got 17 broken bones, and I made the joke yesterday that wasn't as bad a ride as the guy who wouldn't shut up to me yesterday. I'm like, that wasn't the worst Lyft experience of my life. I need to mentally prepare myself, though, that if I'm uncomfortable with him talking to me, I need to flip that and talk to him. When I get in, I'll be like, how long have you been driving today? How's the traffic today? Something like that. And then I will feel a little bit more in control, and I'm not on guard to him talking to me. I go in with a few questions that I want to know. That I legitimately want to know. Like, I really do care about that. Like, are you busy today, or all those kind of things? I need to ask them versus just worried that he's going to ask me something to open up a conversation, Yeah,
absolutely. Like, hey, what is the best restaurant in town? There's value. Every single human has value to give us, and we can learn something. And that's the mindset, is getting into that. That's why I started talking to every cashier, the Amazon driver, those people. Once you start practicing that, when there's no gain for you, there's nothing in it for you. Mm-hmm. That's when it starts becoming natural, and you start doing it all the time. But you have to start practicing.
Did you notice when you turned this into a business? Did you notice that other people weren't doing it, or was it something within you where you're like, I really found a passion in talking about this stuff? Which was it?
It was a passion. Yeah, it was. I realized that we're all human, and have so many flaws, right? And it's so many. And we're all wired so differently, and we have to figure out a way to better connect. And that's my passion, is to help people get what they want. We're all after something, right?
Yeah, and you talk about connection. We advise people all the time that if you are getting out of a divorce or a bad relationship, or you just haven't been out there in a while, that the best thing you can do is go to an environment that is designed to ask questions and get answers. We tell people to go to Home Depot. When you go to Home Depot, there are people in a creative mood, which is a good thing. There are people working on things, so it's excited, and people want to help. You go to Home Depot, you're supposed to ask questions. You're supposed to say, where is the caulk? Does this work? You're supposed to do that. What that does is, even if you're not interested in flipping houses or putting on an extra bedroom, it gets you used to talking to a stranger about something that you really don't know that much about.
Absolutely.
I could go into Bed Bath & Beyond and ask a bunch of questions to people, and people would help me and talk to me because I don't know anything about whatever would be at bed. I want to know about the beyond. Where's the beyond, and what is the beyond? What exactly do you have in the beyond? Things like that, and you're not wasting anybody's time. You're practicing, and you're all getting something out of it. That person's going to hear a question out of you that they might not have heard before. You're going to have conversations with a stranger, and you never know where it's going to go. So put yourself out there. It's low risk. You're not getting rejected. Nobody at Home Depot, hopefully, is going to be like, fuck off, go ask somebody else. Like, right. They're not trained to do that there. It's a low risk, high reward, huge gain situation if you just network in what I say is like low risk situations.
It's social generosity. That's what it is. It's social generosity. It's just putting other people first. It's meeting their needs first. And it's showing that you're selfless by doing that.
Right.
And when you make that impression, other people think, wow, that person is selfless. And when you make that initial impression, it carries so much weight.
Yeah. We've talked about on this podcast a few upsides out of the pandemic and the lockdown that I believe it made us miss people. But I believe what it also did is it put people on Zoom calls in business situations in front of a lot of their colleagues where they had to talk and had to be noticed, and where a lot of people just hid in their cubicle by themselves and they didn't interact and they were able to hide out. It forced people into the light. Everybody was essentially on television, for lack of a better term. You were in front of a camera in your environment. who knows what was going on behind you, and you had to put yourself out to the world. I think that was a beneficial thing for a lot of people who never had to do anything like that beyond maybe one person.
Yeah, as long as they had pants on, right?
As long as they had pants on, and people had to think about that too. I ask people that. I'm like, you're working from home yet? Do you put clothes on? Usually. Do you put makeup on heavy Zoom days? Because it's essentially a media appearance. And a lot of people did not have a job where that was required, where everybody was looking at you and you're talking. It was public speaking skills that we didn't have. It shook up a lot of people's comfort zones, I think, in a good way.
In a good way. Absolutely. And, there is etiquette on Zoom, and that was something that we all had to learn through. I think there's even, if you go to YouTube, there's like a best of Zoom meeting, errors and flaws, that are really funny, that people have put together,
Well, that's a skill set too. There's an etiquette there. There's 5 people getting on a Zoom call, but 3 are there early. And it's like, do we start a conversation before John jumps on here? Like, how's everybody doing? And someone will speak up. And how much can you talk about the stuff that's not related to the work?
Right.
Has anybody been skiing? This, like, because you want to start a conversation without knowing how much time you really have, because somebody could just jump on. There's an awkwardness, though, but like I said, that is fairly low risk that you're getting out of your comfort zone.
It's even empowered people, because with Zoom, you have breakout groups, and you can go, from a group of 20 down to a group of 3 or 4. And now you have all this creativity, and people feel more comfortable in smaller groups sharing their ideas. And
that's funny you bring that up. I'm shocked at how much I like the breakout groups.
Yeah.
Because you're coming from the same place, and then you broke out from there. So you shared this experience of the larger group, and then you did that. When that first happened to me, I'm like, oh my God, there's a breakout group. And I'm like, you know what? I actually like these, because you're 20% further down the road than if you were just cold put into this small group.
Absolutely.
Are we more, as a species, I guess we're species, are we more wired to connect with strangers, or are we more wired, or is our default to fear strangers? Or is that individual?
I think that, so we are in the touchscreen era, and that has really made us almost, we have now, it's like, we are living lives almost through other people in a way, because we're seeing other people's lives. And on average, I think it's right around like 2.5 hours a day the average human spends on social media every single day. Mm-hmm. So it is a lot of time is being spent on social media. And as a result, our people skills are in decline. I mean, it's a fact, right? Because we're not communicating as much. And, you add in the pandemic, and it's changed the world by the way we do things. So, I really think that it just depends on the individual, to answer your question. And it's just bringing awareness back to the things that are really important. And our people skills are the most important part of life. 85% of success in life, whether it's job success, dating success, relationship success, comes from highly developed people skills. That is what is success, creates success. So if you want to be successful in anything that you do, you must have highly developed people skills. So it's important for us to start working on those and increasing those skills and being aware of those skills.
Yeah. The entire origin story here of the Great Love Debate was rooted in a book that I wrote called How to Find Love in 60 Seconds. And people were like, oh, is that about like a quickie in the bathroom? And no, it was really about, in the course of everyone's day in an average city, if you leave your house and you go to the gym and you go to work and you go to the store, you are within 10 yards of 1,000 people of the opposite sex. 1,000 people, real live people. And if you had a chance to connect with each one of them for 60 seconds, if you had that opportunity and you acted on it and you recognized it and you didn't reject it, how many of those 1,000 people could you really form a connection with? And I ask people this in real life. I'm like, if I gave you 1,000 people, you could talk to each one for 60 seconds, how many would you have a deep connection with? And people are like 2, 10, 20. The average was about 5 or 6. And people are like, oh, 5 or 6 out of 1,000, that's, 0.05%. That seems very needle in a haystack. And I'm like, no, if you look at it the other way, 5 or 6 people a day, every single day over the course of a year, You're talking about thousands of people that you were within 30 feet of having a connection, a deep connection that you could possibly fall in love with if you just acted on that opportunity. That's a lot of people in a year. So if you think like I might meet one person a year I like, no, you didn't put yourself in the position to have the opportunity with all of those people that you could meet. And that's just a different way that's just perspective. You know, I don't care about the 994 people that I don't have a connection with. Where are the 5 or 6 that I could? And that's how sort of all this started, was these opportunities do exist. And for people like me who are like, well, I'll wait for the 5 or 6 to find me, you know, that really is the opposite. You should be like, where are these people around me every single day? It gets you out of your phone, takes the blinders off. It's like, okay, tomorrow I'm going to find the 5 or 6 people that I could fall in love with. If I could just connect with them, that's a mindset.
It's mindset, and it's getting and understanding that, like, look, for me to be successful at this, I need to be. It's okay. My vulnerability is important. So be vulnerable. Put yourself out there and take action, because there's going to be pain either way. It's the pain of doing it and taking that action, or the pain of you know, the fact that you never did it, and 10 years down the road, where are you? You know? Yeah,
I never did it right. And every day that goes by, those opportunities are there. And you always think like, oh, I wish I just asked one more question. I wish I just said hello. And again, I am speaking from somebody who absolutely knows they need to get better. And I think I have gotten better in a lot of ways. I understand the value of small talk. I understand the value of what other people can possibly bring to me. And you can look at that selfishly in a good way. Like, what can that person do for me? Well, you know, that can start with a question, and that can start with hello. And go back to the fundamentals of it. If you have to retrain yourself, as I do and a lot of people do, there's nothing wrong with that, because the skill set that you will acquire will pay off in a lot of different ways.
So instead of thinking about what can that person do for me, our mindset, here's the paradigm shift. What can I do for that person? That's the change. So thinking about, instead of looking at everybody as what can they give me, what can I give them? What value can I provide them? And it could be just as simple as making them feel good about themselves in that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. Can I provide some positivity to them?
Yes, because
and then what
we all
need
that right now, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I know. We have gotten a little bit too much in our own worlds, and we got to recognize the people around us and recognize that not everybody has to be the same as you and think the same way and agree with you and all of these things. That this is just one perspective out of thousands of perspectives that everybody has on any given topic. You know, you should be able to, if you don't have common ground on 1 or 2 or 3 things, all of us should be able to find common ground on 1,000 other things. And it isn't necessary that you can't sometimes meet on the ground that isn't common either.
Right.
You know? All right. In the interest of time, and I'm going to let you plug everything in a minute. This is your first time on the podcast. We play something called Worst Date or First Date. So you have to give us, back in your swing and single days, either the worst date you've ever been on or the absolute greatest first date you've ever been on. Your choice.
All right, say it one more time just to make. I'm going to think about it again.
That was a good stall tactic.
Yeah.
Either the worst date you ever went on, or the best first date you ever went on. I don't care if the relationship panned out. It was just like, this was a good first date that I had with somebody, or a terrible date. Your choice. Worst date or first date.
All right, we'll go first date.
Oh, positivity. See?
Good. Absolutely. I'm not going to talk about the worst date. That was a crazy story. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
So the best date ever was with my wife. Yeah, absolutely. You know, the thing about my wife, I met my wife at the gym, in a fitness center, you know, where...
Can you spot me? Was that your opening line?
No, but that would have been a good one. I like that line. So I met my wife. I worked at the fitness center.
Yeah.
Right out of college, that's what I was doing. And she came in, and I signed her up for a 3-year membership. So that way she couldn't go anywhere for 3 years. So she had to keep coming, and she had to keep talking to me. And
I sold her first. That's good.
Yeah. So, you know, we got to know each other, and we went out, and we actually met up one night out, you know, and we had a great time. And I don't consider that our first date, but then after that was our actual first date. And we just went out and we connected, and we talked about, what each other was into, really, like, what we were after in life, and getting to know somebody and creating that emotional